What's up, everybody? Well, it finally happened. Zillow just released their latest housing forecast, and they did a major, drastic reduction from their previous forecasts. Last month, they forecasted 7.8% home value growth over the next 12 months. Currently, they show a 16% price appreciation since last year. So what are they now saying for the future? Zillow forecasts 2.4% home value growth through the end of July 2023. Zillow's outlook for home prices has been revised down significantly due to a sharp downturn in July. This is the 5th downward revision since March. So we'll get into why do they now finally downgrade their forecast to meet the other industry insiders, and what's happening across the board today in the housing market. So let's just dive right in. So if we look at Zillow's home value and sales forecast that was posted on August 18th, they write the large revision is driven by the quickly changing observed market conditions and an update to the forecast methodology. So here's what they're doing differently. Zillow's home value forecast now incorporates the share of for sale listings that receive a price cut into its calculation. This share has seen a sharp increase in recent months as home sellers adjust their strategies amid changing market conditions. I'm not sure why this should make a difference if they're going over sold prices to determine the appreciation year over year. For example, if a house is listed for $1 million and the sellers reduce the price to $950,000 and it's sold for $920,000, shouldn't Zillow always been using that $920,000 benchmark to see the price appreciation year over year? I mean, that only makes sense. Why didn't they use these statistics before? I don't get it, but let's continue. So Zillow goes on to say in this article, a weaker outlook for home sales also factors heavily into the lower forecast for home value appreciation. Zillow's now forecasting 5.3 million existing home sales in 2022, a 14.1% decrease from 2021. So basically, they're now taking into account what's really happening in the current market rather than going off some sort of narrative. But this is really interesting. Take a look at the footnote at the bottom of the article. Home value annual appreciation in the July 2022 forecast represents the raw version of the Zillow Home Value Index, while the forecasts use expectations for raw Zillow Home Value forecast. All previous Zillow forecasts have used the smooth and seasonally adjusted versions of the Zillow Home Value Index and the Zillow Home Value forecast. So we have raw versus smooth and seasonally. Okay, let's just see what smooth and seasonally means to Zillow. The smoothed and seasonally adjusted version of the ZHVI, the Zillow Home Value Index, smooths home value changes over the trailing 3 months, which shows a cleaner trend line without the month-to-month spikes of the raw series. I'm still not really sure what this smooth home value changes actually means. Let's continue. Zillow Research has chosen to present its raw version in its July monthly report and forecast during this period of unparalleled volatility. I feel like it's back in the day when sellers and buyers would look at Zestimates to decide the value of a house, and we, meaning us realtors, had to constantly educate them that Zillow has never been in your house. They don't know if the kitchen's been renovated or if everything's original, and it was really, really frustrating because sellers thought their houses were worth more and buyers thought they were worth less, all based on these Zestimates. It was really a point of frustration because the numbers very rarely matched what the real market value was worth. I actually made my very first video on Zestimates 2 years ago. It's super embarrassing, so if you want a good laugh, you can check it out, but it's really bad. So here's the kicker, and I think this explains a lot. For reference, the smoothed and seasonally adjusted version of the ZHVI shows 18.2% growth in July. The smooth seasonally adjusted forecast through July 2023 was 2.7%, and the June forecast for the next 12 months was 7%. So just to keep things straight, the smooth and seasonally rate for growth in July is 18.2%, the raw version is 16%, the smooth and seasonally adjusted forecast through July 2023 is 2.7%, the raw version is 2.4%, the smooth and seasonally June forecast for the next 12 months was 7%, the raw version is 6.9%. And I don't know about you guys, but all this really tells me is that Zillow is making excuses for their previous unrealistic market forecast predictions. And I think this is because the July housing market data was much worse than they expected. So let's take a look. Lambert just wrote an article in Fortune about this very subject and cites the current statistics. July saw the largest ever, dating back to 2016, uptick in total inventory on Realtor.com. On a year-over-year basis, new home sales and existing home sales are now down 17.4% and 20.2% respectively. At the same time, single-family home starts have fallen 18.5% and mortgage purchase applications are down 18.4%. Some of this has to do with summer slowdowns in general, but we certainly can't deny that the housing market has changed. Housing affordability is really at an all-time low. According to the National Association of Realtors Housing Affordability Index, which factors in family incomes, mortgage rates, and the sales price, fell to 98.5 in June, the lowest since 1989. So what's happening right now in the housing market? Lambert uses Zillow's data to show the change in home values from June to July of this year. According to Zillow, 30 of the nation's 50 largest housing markets saw month-over-month price declines in July. That includes a 4.5% home price dip in San Jose. Not too far behind are Phoenix, 2.8%, San Francisco, 2.8%, Austin, 2.7%, and Sacramento, 2.5%. Looks like they're saying that the DC area has a price decline of 0.5% over the last month. This doesn't surprise me because traditionally we do usually slow down in the summer, and that coupled with the higher mortgage rates that have priced out a lot of buyers and still some overzealous sellers that haven't adjusted to this changing market would definitely contribute to seeing a lot of price decline. Rick Palacious Jr., the head of research at Johns Burns Real Estate Consulting, tells Fortune, "You could make a strong case that in a lot of housing markets, the last 10% of home price appreciation was purely aspirational and irrational, and that'll come off the top really fast." That's exactly what we're all seeing right now. I don't disagree. This last spring market in 2021 was the craziest I've ever seen in 18 and a half years of being a realtor. It was unsustainable, so to have 10% come right off the top of that kind of makes sense to me. But what I find really interesting is that with all the bad news out there and all the price reductions I'm seeing even in our local market, the Mortgage Bankers Association, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and CoreLogic all predict a low single-digit home price increase over the coming year. Increase being the key word here. So even though it's minimal, they all still see home prices appreciating over the next 12 months, even if it's just a little. Now, as I always say, real estate is very localized. So what's happening here in the DC area is not going to be the same as Boise or Austin. According to the Fortune article, the regional housing markets that are going to get hit the hardest during the slowdown are divided into two groups. The first is the high-cost tech hubs. This grouping includes such markets like San Francisco, San Jose, and Seattle. The second group includes overvalued markets just like Boise and Phoenix and Austin and Las Vegas. The pandemic housing boom just pushed home prices in markets like Boise and Idaho way past what homeowners can afford. Historically speaking, when a housing market turns over like it is now, the most overvalued housing markets are at risk for the most home price corrections. So what are you guys seeing? Where do you live? Are you seeing a big change? Are you seeing a drastic change in inventory or price corrections? Definitely comment below, tell us where you are, and let's definitely talk about it, because that's how we get the most up-to-date information, hearing from you guys and what you're experiencing where you live. I hope you got some value out of today's video. It's a lot of work putting these videos together for you each week, but I really think it's important for you to have the most up-to-date information so you can make the best decisions for you and your family. If you are getting some value, you can definitely show our channel some support by smashing that like button, commenting below, and subscribing to our channel. It just motivates us to make more videos. And if you want to see some of my other housing market forecast videos, definitely check out these two. They're all from different sources, so they give you a better general idea of what's happening in today's market. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. Bye!